Moin, and welcome to Dolllynx! Today's video is a little different since, well, some of you might remember this doll. Her name is Patty, and she has no video on my channel because the audio got completely lost. It has something to do with one song that I used that turned out not to be free to use. But yeah, that caused the whole audio to be gone now, and it can't be restored. That's why I decided to just make a new voiceover, so it's more like a "What have I learned so far" video. Moreover, I wanted to take that chance to try out a new video editing program. It's full of funny effects like this and that and sparkles, and I have wonderful ideas to make my videos more pleasing with all these things. But let's focus on Patty first. As a base, I used this Abby doll because of her strong jawline and big lips. Something I love about this sculpt till today. I guess I can say that she's one of my favorite Monster High dolls. After removing head, factory paint and hair, I rambled a bit about the head being a little yellowed and my nails. It's true that the acetone removed the nail polish, but I remember just being too lazy to paint them again and tried to find an excuse. By the way, is it just me or is there a pretty noticeable difference in quality? At this point I had no possibility to attach my camera anywhere, so I filmed everything with my old iPhone. But I did not remember it being that obvious. Well, anyway, I actually continued with sanding down the body because Abby sadly has this glittery surface all over her that has to be removed first. I mean, it can stay if you like glitter skin, but it's not so much my taste. Oh, looks like I already started body blushing right away. I still really like that I used mainly pinks for that, because it gives her such a soft and cute look. After that, I finally switched to the head. And here's the reason why this doll is extremely special to me. She was my very first try on inserting eyes, so I feel like she really represents an important milestone in my art journey. That's also the reason why I wanted to re-upload this video so badly. If I'd redo her today, she would also get some head shrinking, of course. And to be honest, I would also change her body type, since I always saw her as a little chubby, but I was too insecure to make that back then. I think it's really important not to overwhelm yourself with new things. She already was a highly experimental project when I made her, so also giving her a new body type would have been way too much. But it makes me really happy to feel so confident now with the things that were so hard for me back then. After finishing her eye holes, I made her eyes out of polymer clay. Yes, I once started without resin or a silicone mold. So if you don't have these things, you can still make eyes that work fine and look beautiful. It sure takes a little longer, since the clay has to be baked and cool down afterwards. So I prepared a whole bunch to see which ones fit the best. They were a little wonky and not as bright and shiny as the resin ones nowadays, but once they're in the head, you don't see much of a difference. I used my acrylic paints to paint the iris and pupil and added some glitter before dropping the UV resin on top. Actually, now that I see this, I should go back using the resin with a toothpick instead of pouring it right out of the bottle, just to have a little more control over it. When her eyes were done, I started with the Faceup. For that I used Mungyu soft pastels. Nowadays I'm using pastels from Rembrandt that have a much better quality. For such light skin as Abby's, the cheaper pastels work fine, but on Strawbella or Mince, I would have had no chance with them. Building up light colors is probably the hardest for pastels, and a good way to differentiate between cheap and high quality pigments. I still really love her Faceup, but I have to admit that I would push the whole goth vibe a little more nowadays. Another interesting fact I realized now looking at the video material in comparison to the new audio material, I'm explaining less of the things I did back then. I mean, it makes sense since there were way less steps creating it all than there are now. So I had the time to explain the Faceup, for example, in every detail without making the video an hour long. Nowadays, most customs include head shrinking, some modifications, and changing the skin color, on top of everything I did while making Patty. So there's way more to explain and to show. Not mentioning the fact that I really try to include my process of outfit making, even though it's not working out so great. But yeah, it's all just another sign for me that I really improved, and that means a lot to me. But back to the doll. When I was done, I added some lashes and gloss to her lips and eyes. And then I started the reroute. Definitely not the best decision. The plastic gets tortured quite a lot during that process, so it's pretty easy to damage the face-up and especially the lashes. I also realized that pretty quickly back then, but well, it was already too late, of course. Luckily everything went well. Oh, okay, it seems like I also inserted her eyes before finishing her hair. Why? I can't remember the reason. But I do remember that I was so proud of her face back then. And seeing it now, I still am. She turned out super cute in my opinion. I obviously finished rerouting without destroying face and eyes and started brushing out the yarn. After that, I reattached her head cap and the doll was done. Thanks to the magic of editing, her outfit was done too, as you can see. I think I used a pattern from Requiem Arts for the dress. Aw, she's so lovely. I'm still really happy with her, and she always stands next to my desktop to watch me work. She also was the first doll with a story setting place in my doll universe that I created, and still haven't made a video about. Shame on me. In short, it's about a world separated by a magic wall that can only be crossed by those of a pure heart. On one side live the humans, on the other side several magic beings with abilities. Patty is a half being, so only her father was magic. The ability of the children from these relationships depend on the mother, so in Patty's case she is more human and has no magic abilities. During her childhood she lived with her mother in a big city of only humans, having a really hard time not being accepted with her outstanding appearance. Her mother never told her what happened to her father, or why they never crossed the border again to visit the magic lands. And she never asked. Even though she is a pretty shy character with low self-esteem, she still has a big heart with love and acceptance for everyone. When she got older, she was able to move out. She finally moved to a big city close to the wall called Glaco. It's the only city with a university for both humans and magic beings, where she finally found some friends while studying geography. I actually made small adjustments to her story, so it fits a little better in my universe. But the overall idea is still the same as before, and I hope you liked it. This doll is absolutely precious to me, since I feel like my journey really started with her. After making her, I felt like really heading in the right direction with my customs, so to speak. So it was even more important for me to share her with you again. I hope you did not find that video too boring if you already saw the old version. At least for me it was really nice to recap her process. Another exciting thing is this little girl that I made as the mint chocolate companion of Strawbella. Her video is only available at Patreon, and I know that some of you might find that bad. But if you decide to support me there, it's completely up to you with how much. So everyone who decides to support me on Patreon can spend just as much as he or she feels comfortable with. And I'm extremely thankful for every cent. Moreover, it's not only Mince's video, but also a room tour that I uploaded last month that you can watch. I have no tiers on my page, so whatever you want to pay, you have full access to everything I post there, including one exclusive video every month. Just check it out if you like. I really appreciate every single one of you, be it on Patreon or here on YouTube. So a huge thank you to all of you. And with that, we're already at the end of this video. It turned out shorter than the old version, but I really have no idea what I talked about that long back then. You may have noticed that my photographies are no longer moving, which is caused to the new program. It is great, but stupid me bought the version without keyframes, and now I wrote the company if there is any possibility to change my version without buying the whole program completely again. Wish me luck to receive a good answer. You'll probably see the result in my next video. Until then, have a wonderful day, my little lynxes, and stay safe in these difficult times. See you soon. Tschüss!